Tima and Nurita. The 2019 audit report of the State Auditor General on the account of the Delta State government for the 2019 fiscal year is now before the House of Assembly. Assembly correspondent Nkenweke reports that also before the House is the audit report of the Auditor General Local Government for the year ended 31st December 2017. Local Government Councils of the State. The Speaker, Delta State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Sheriff Warri, announced that receipts of the documents during the plenary of the House. Right Honorable Warri said the development will be in accordance with the provisions of Section 125, Subsection 5 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The Speaker also cited Section 16. Subsection 1 of the Delta State Audit Law 2018 and Section 91, Subsection 5 of the Local Government Law 2013 as areas where the House derives the power to look into the audit reports of the state and local government councils. Right Honorable Warri therefore referred the reports to the Public Accounts Committee.
Substantial enough and lawful to deny the petitioner his promotion any qualified privilege. Honorable Ajudwa said the committee relied on various sections of the relevant laws and rules, including the Delta State Public Service Rules and Regulations of the National Commission for Colleges of Education revised 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of dealing with the issues. Said a case of serious misconduct was established against the petitioner by the management of the Mr. Alaba severally broke and violated stipulated rules as an employee of the college, amongst others. Honorable Ajudwa stated that the committee totally agreed with the institution that, indeed, the issues were very crucial, germane and relevant and must be addressed before the petitioner's promotion can be effected. The lawmaker said our committee also found the petitioner guilty of breaking the rules and does not have any qualified privilege to be granted the relief sought. The committee therefore recommended that the petition be dismissed and advised Mr. Alaba to engage the college management in a peaceful dialogue with a view to addressing all outstanding issues of the institution. The motion for the adoption of the committee's report was moved by the House Majority Leader, Honorable Timo Wefere.
Execution of the explains that the decision to suspend the gathering that involves representatives of the bidders during the official opening of the tenders was due to the COVID-19 pandemic and in obedience to the guidelines of the Delta State government and the NCDC, which advised against large gatherings of persons. The statement added that the Delta State University Basic Education Board, SUBEB, in conjunction with the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, assured all bidders that the selection exercise will be transparently conducted and will follow due process as the relevant government ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, will be on ground to observe and monitor the opening. The House of Representatives has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to urge all African leaders to intervene in the travails of Adesina Akinwumi, President of the African Development Bank. Abuja correspondent Don Major Ifowodu reports that this resolution was taken at the plenary on Tuesday after a motion of urgent national importance was moved by the House Minority Leader Honorable Ndudi Ilumelu. The reports. Details of that report will be brought to you in the course of the news bulletin. President Muhammadu Buhari, in solidarity with Nigeria, has asked for justice for Vera Omozua, a 100-level student of Uniben who was raped and murdered by suspected cultists in Benin City. The president took to his Twitter handle Tuesday night to condemn the rape exercise and expressed sadness and displeasure over the gruesome murder of the girl. Buhari further extended his condolence to the family of the victim and promised that efforts will be made in seeking justice for the deceased 22-year-old microbiology student. He further explained that to investigate the case, arrest the suspects and bring them to answer for their crimes. Vera, a 100-level microbiology student of the University of Benin, was raped and murdered by her attackers inside a church where she had gone to read. Meantime, the NIDCOM Nigerian Chidi Nwabuzo, spokesman of Edoli's command, in a statement affirmed the arrest of the suspects after a fingerprint examination was carried on the extinguisher used to attack the deceased. The national leader of All Progressive Congress, APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has lent his voice to the call for justice over the rape and murder of Vera Omozua, a 100-level microbiology student of the University of Benin, Uniben, Edo State. Tinubu, the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, took to his Twitter handle, joining in solidarity with all women, decrying the unjust treatment that have been unleashed on women over the years. Tinubu condemned the rape and eventual murder of Vera. The APC stalwarts, in a series of tweets, condemned the recent killings of all the young ladies across the country, saying there is nothing that can defend the wrongdoings of the culprits. Vera Omozua is the most recent name on a list of women who have lost their lives as a result of rape. It will be recalled that Miss Uwa, a student of microbiology, died after she was raped and killed while studying in a church in Benin City days ago. In a similar vein, Tina Ezekwe, a 16-year-old girl, was hit by a stray bullet after a police officer fired shots in a bid to apprehend a bus driver at the Iyanoworo area of Lagos. Both students' death comes weeks after Jennifer, an 18-year-old, was allegedly gang raped by 5 boys who were said to be her friends in Kaduna State. The death of these Nigerian females have triggered protests on social media as Nigerians have called for justice over the killings. Robbers in Warri Metropolis have devised a new method of stealing from vehicle owners. A number of victims who narrated their experiences recounted that the robbers, pretending to be engaged by the local governments, have moved along the road with tricycle, popularly called keke, to harass vehicle owners who they claim parked unlawfully. The latest victim of the tactics was a staff of Delta Broadcasting Service, Warri, who was robbed on Tuesday, June 2nd. According to the victim, while she parked her car to quickly rearrange some things in her car along Japa Road, 2 guys in a tricycle approached her to ask why she was parked at that spot. The DBS Warri staff said she was shocked when one of them exposed a gun, while the other guy gained entrance to the car and ransacked her bag looking for valuables. The robbery operations happened about 1 in the afternoon and was shortly carried out as not to draw attention of those nearby. Motorists and other road users in the metropolis are advised to be wary of the antics of young men who claim they are working for the local government only to rob unsuspecting members of the public. The people of Ozobo community in Burtu local government area of Delta State have appealed to the kidnappers of Dr. Wisdom Iboitete, the medical doctor attached to the general hospital in the community, to release him immediately and without conditions. The community, which was at the DBS Jeba premises to register their pains at the kidnap Sunday night of the medical doctor, described the incident as an embarrassment which has left the community without medical assistance in the past days. Led by Dr. Sunday Afure, they spoke with correspondent Linus Chiba and Nancy Trier. The reports.
The once bubbling Ojobo community in Burutu local government area of Delta State has now taken a moody and sober look. The reason, on Sunday, May 31st, at about 11:30 p.m., some persons who earlier posed as patients abducted Wisdom Iboitete, the medical director at the General Hospital in the community. As the effect of the kidnap sank, the community is now counting its losses and standing up in solidarity with Dr. Wisdom Iboitete. They want his abductors to release him without further delay and describe the kidnap as an embarrassment to their people with consequences of serious backlash. Dr. Sunday Afore, Deaconess Florence Age, Tony Brisibe, the councillor representing Ojobo community, and Ojobo community president Ambassador Ondokare Fufenyi were unanimous in their call for the immediate and unconditional release of Dr. Iboitete.
The people of Ozobo resident in Warri have come here to establish our displeasure to what has transpired and to also plead with governments to do everything humanly possible to ensure that our doctor is released unarmed.
I wept because it's not heard of. The community I came from, Ojobo, is a very peace-loving community. And the doctor, a resident doctor who had been doing very well, some group of persons went there to kidnap him, was a lot of embarrassment. It was because of embarrassment I'm here. I am here to beg whoever that is concerned to release the doctor. Now we have mothers, fathers, children everywhere in Ojobo, no doctor.
Only just one single doctor, Wisdom, that volunteer to come to a riverine settlement to give medical aid and attention, operation and not otherwise, to the people, is the one that these criminals could now come and do this mayhem to him. And the whole town will condemn it in totality, and we assure the family of the victim that we will make sure that we have to work with all relevant agencies, including the government, to seek for the release of the medical doctor unhurt.
So the doctor is a very busy man who has been keep working day and night to save lives. So it's surprising to each and every one of us here that same doctor has been kidnapped by hoodlums.
So that is why we are here to appeal to the government, to the security agencies in charge, to prevail on these kidnappers to release the doctor.
They said Dr. Wisdom Iboitete has been with them for close to 5 years and is greatly loved by the community. According to them, as things are, Ojobo communities are the losing end, as it is doubtful if the 20,000 people in the community will have a doctor as friendly as Dr. Wisdom Iboitete. Already, according to them, the nurses and other medical officers in the hospital are wary of coming to work for fear of their lives.
Appealing to whomever, wherever they have, to release the doctor back to us, for him to come back and do his work. It's a riverine community, and I don't think most of these doctors from the state, they refuse going to riverine community, but this man has taken it in his heart to save lives in that community. No, I am here to appeal to them. Let them release the doctor. That is my concern. Thank you.
So we are in solidarity with our doctor. We are crying and weeping with him, and we are appealing that, like yesterday, he should have been released.
A message to them will be, please, please, please release this man. You know, even thieves, when they are injured, it's the doctor that will cure them. they will come to the doctor for treatment. So why are they carrying a doctor? It is very sad. We are pleading with them to release this man unarmed.
Ojobo community has also requested for better security presence, including a divisional police office in the area, explaining that this will help curb the incidence of high crime, such as kidnapping. Members of the community, while sympathizing with the family of the abducted doctor and Delta State government on the incident, appealed to the abductors of Dr. Iboyitite to release him without further delay in order not to jeopardize the health of people of the community. Linus Chima reporting.
Back to our earlier report where we told you that the House of Representatives has called on President Muhammadu Buhari to urge all African leaders to intervene in the travails of Adesina Akinwumi, President of the African Development Bank. Abuja correspondent Don Major Ifodu reports that this resolution was taken at the plenary on Tuesday after a motion of urgent national importance was moved by the House Minority Leader Honorable Ndudi Elumelu. The report.
Moving the motion titled Attempts to Tarnish the Image and Hard-Earned Reputation of Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of African Development Bank AFDP, on trumped-up allegations. Honorable Elumelu informed the House that a group of whistleblowers recently accused Adesina of breaching 16 of the bank's code of conduct, which Adesina has denied. Some of the alleged breaches include private gains, impediments to efficiency, preferential treatment, and involvement in political activities. Honorable Elumelu further disclosed that upon investigation by the Ethics Committee of the AFDB's Board of Directors, the allegations were found to be frivolous and Adesina was exonerated of all 16. The lawmaker, however, expressed concern that the United States Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin rejected the verdict of the committee and called for an independent investigation into the allegations against Adesina, whose tenure is due for renewal given the fact that he is the only contender in the office. He maintained that this interference portends a grave danger to the independence and laws governing the AFDB, adding that if not addressed, it will be tantamount to undermining the hard-earned reputation of the bank. Honorable Elumelu also noted that the action may be an attempt to discredit Adesina from seeking another term in the helm of Africa's largest multilateral lender. The motion, which enjoyed the unanimous support of the House, also mandated that ECOWAS Parliament and African Parliament to investigate the matter and resolve same. The House also urged the board of AFDP to halt further harassment of its president.
Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has confirmed 241 new cases of coronavirus in Nigeria, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 10,819. The health agency also says the country recorded 15 new deaths, bringing the total number of deaths from the virus to 314. In the NCDC's report as of Wednesday morning, no new state recorded any case in the last 24 hours. It added that the 241 new cases were reported from 14 states, with Lagos State responsible for 142 cases, Oyo 15, FCT 13, Kano 12, Edo 11, Delta 10, Kaduna and Rivers States had 9 cases each, Borno 8, Jigawa 4, Gombe and Plateau had 3 cases each, Ogun and Bauchi had 1 case. The House of Representatives has urged the President to immediately direct the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and Ministry of Aviation and its agencies to commence local flights, beginning with the opening of at least 1 airport in each of the 6 geopolitical zones to give all zones a sense of belonging and ensure equity and fairness. The Green Chamber has also urged the federal government to direct relevant agencies of the Ministry of Aviation Aviation to develop acceptable standards operating procedure SOP in tandem with the Nigerian Center for Disease Control NCDC for the airlines and workers. These resolutions were contained in a motion brought to the floor of the House by Honorable Muhammad Mongono on the urgent need for partial reopening of airports with at least one airport in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Presenting the motion on the floor of the House, Honorable Mongono noted that the Nigerian government closed its airspace to the international traffic on March 23rd, and a week later all the local traffics were also stopped to curtail the spread of the virus after the discovery of the Italian index case in Nigeria. He also noted that the coronavirus pandemic has brought global air travel to a halt, as the United Nations World Tourism Organization WTO states that 100% of 217 countries worldwide have COVID-19 related travel restrictions in place. Such measures, the WTO said, represents the most severe restrictions on international travel in history. The lawmaker further noted that most countries in the world have maintained guided local flights for easy movements of persons and people, especially essential workers and goods, but banned international flights. He said the continued ban on local flights will further suffocate the economy and equally cripple the local air transport sector, including several other ancillary businesses directly or indirectly linked to it, and thereby escalate the unemployment situation in the country. Honorable Mongono stated that some of the airlines and other services providers within the industry have sent their staff on compulsory leave without pay and brought untold hardship to many homes directly or indirectly connected to the affected employees. He said that all the statutory agencies like the Federal Airport Authorities of Nigeria FAN, Nigerian Airspace Management Agency NAMA, Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority NCAA, the Nigerian College Aviation Technology NCAT, Zaria, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency NIMET, and the Air Accident Investigation Bureau AIB, which generates their revenue when the aeroplanes working are struggling to pay staff salaries at the moment. He expressed concern that the traveling within the country has become a nightmare as a result of poor state of roads and the challenging security situation, making it imperative that the airports are reopened. He also expressed concern that most of the airlines now lying idle at the various airports across the country will require huge sums of money to service them if efforts are not made to put them back into operation soon. The House further directed Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria FAN and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority NCAA to ensure that airports and aircrafts are routinely disinfected, and mandated the House Committee on Aviation Legislative Compliance and Ad Hoc Committee on COVID-19 to monitor compliance and report back to the House within 2 weeks for further legislative actions. Meantime, the federal government has directed the aviation sector to begin to develop protocols that would lead to the resumption of domestic flights as from June 21. This was made known by the Presidential Task Force during its briefing in Abuja. The federal government has said only 5 airports will be operational while the others remained closed for further assessment. This was contained in a circular to airlines signed by Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Nuhu. The regulator stressed that the country's airspace is still closed to international flights, while domestic flights could start from June 21, as announced by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Captain Nuhu said that the closure of Nigerian airports to domestic flights has been extended to 20th June 2020, explaining that the gradual start of domestic flights operations will commence on the 21st of June 2020 with Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport Abuja, Murtala Muhammad International Airport Lagos, Malam Aminu Kano International Airport Kano, Omagwa International Airport, Port Harcourt, and Sam Mbakwe Airport, Owerri. He noted that other airports will be gradually added to the network after a review and assessment. It will be recorded that the country's airports and airspace were shut down in March by the President Muhammadu Buhari as part of efforts to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Commercial flights operations, both local and international, had stopped forthwith, but the President's directives allowed the operations of essential flights, including those for medical and evacuation purposes, amongst others. The Nigerian Correctional Service NCOS has announced the reopening of the custodial center to admit all categories of inmates. The Controller General CG of Corrections, Afro Ahmed, said this on Wednesday in a press release by the service spokesperson Augustine Njoku. According to the CG, the action was necessary to enhance access to justice and also to facilitate the administration of criminal justice in the country. The statement disclosed that there are guidelines for the reopening of the custodial centers which all state controllers and officers in charge are directed to adhere to strictly. These include resumption of the admission of all categories of inmates into designated custodial centers. Only designated custodial centers with isolation units are to admit inmates. The state controller are also to avail the judges in their various states the list of the designated custodial centers. All newly admitted inmates are to be isolated for the mandatory period of 14 days. COVID-19 screening should be conducted on all inmates at the isolation units. A confirmatory test after the 14 days should be conducted on all the inmates at the isolation units, and regular fumigation of the custodial centers should be carried out at agreed intervals. The statement also says that staff members have undergone fundamental basic training before being deployed to isolation units, noting that only legal counsels are allowed to visit the inmates. It added that all procedures and protocols of COVID-19 screenings are to be strictly observed. The Controller General of Corrections implored the state controllers to liaise with the judiciary and other stakeholders in criminal justice administration to ensure the smooth takeoff of these guidelines and fight against COVID-19 in the custodial centers. You're watching the DRTV news. Details of other reports will come your way shortly. To stay with us.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way.
My country people, not be news again say coronavirus COVID-19 don't land Niger. Mama, Papa, how una take dey protect una self and una family? World Health Organization WHO, Delta State government through the Ministry of Health say make una dey wash una hand every time with the soap water. Use sanitizer for your hand. Stop to dey hug or shake people anyhow. Not dey touch your eye, nose, mouth or even ESF. Stay for your ass and stop to dey mix with the people for crowd. When you sneeze, no use handkerchief, use tissue paper and throw them away one time. Abeg, stop to dey spread fake news and make una no fear. The Delta State government e dey gidigba to make sure say we dey kampe. My people, as we continue to do wetin government say make we do and pray, God go help us to stay safe. Now the wife of the governor of Delta State and founder O5 Initiative, Dim Iditokowa, now they bring una this message.
It is a very challenging time for us all. We must therefore come together, support our government and health personnel to fight against and stop the spread of coronavirus pandemic. We must endeavor to
prevent infections by washing your hands with soap and running water for at least 20 seconds.
You can also use alcohol-based hand sanitizer if you don't have immediate access to soap and water.
It is natural to cough and sneeze, but when you do it into your elbow like this. or into a tissue paper like this. Dispose immediately to protect yourself and everyone around you.
In these trying times, it is important to avoid unnecessary socializing. As much as you can, avoid crowded spaces.
Maintain at least 6 feet between yourself and the next person. Make sure to wear a face mask whenever you appear in public. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose and mouth.
And when you feel sick, please by all means necessary, stay at home and immediately seek medical attention.
Most importantly, if you are experiencing symptoms like fever,
dry cough, running nose,
body ache,
sore throat, difficulty in breathing,
tiredness and diarrhea.
In all of this, please make sure to maintain good personal hygiene.
Please do not hesitate to call the Delta State COVID-19 response number.
Has written his name on gold plates. He has done really well. He has taken it upon himself to take young women, youths off the streets by empowering them.
Among the governors of this country has done creditably, because for me the greatest kind of development in governance is human capital development.
I would say a big thank you to our amiable governor. They have turned our lives around. We the youth have not been privileged to do white collar job. Today I can boast I'm the owner of a company, and so having people that is working under me. So I'm a fulfilled man.
I was empowered by the state government with 1 canopy and 100 shares, but now I have more than 10 canopies and I have more than 300 shares.
I want to say a big thank you to Governor Okowa.
You're watching the DRTV News. Good to have you back on the show. The governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, has debunked the rumors that he is planning to dump the All Progressives Congress APC if he does not get party tickets in the primaries of June 22. Governor Godwin Obaseki, while refuting the claims in Abuja on Tuesday, said such rumors are untrue. He said he spoke at a meeting with the Obaseki Mandate Group. The governor urged the people of the state to support those with a proven track record in public service and commend the kind gesture of supporters who paid for his form. The Edo State governor said his mind is made up to stick to the All Progressives Congress, which brought him to the office. Obaseki told the State House correspondent of President Muhammadu Buhari's assurance of support. The Federal High Court in Lagos has granted freedom to Ojiuzo Kalu, former governor of Abia, who has been seeking his release from the Kuje Correctional Center's custody. Kalu, who was sentenced 7.26 billion fraud belonging to Abia State, has been moving for release from the High Court presided over by Justice Muhammad Liman. Former Governor Kalu had filed a motion on May 13 asking the court to nullify his conviction, saying that no legal basis existed for his continued incarceration following the Supreme Court's judgment which declared his trial a nullity. Justice Muhammad is finally granting the prayer of Kalu Oji and subsequently ordered his release from the Kuji Correctional Center while he is currently being detained. In April 2018, the United Nations General Assembly declared June 3 as World Bicycle Day. In this special report, correspondent Ifeanyi Onyejike highlights some of the importance of the bicycle to good health and well-being of the society. The report.
The bicycle, which is a vehicle that moves on two wheels propelled by the action of riders' feet upon pedals. It is a necessary tool for exercise, probably the reason why the United Nations saw the need to set aside a particular day to create awareness on the importance of the day. Apart from the risk involved, the bicycle enhances physical activity, hence experts say it has significant benefits to health. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, safe infrastructure for walking and cycling is a pathway for achieving greater health equity. For those who cannot, however, afford vehicles, walking and cycling provides a form of transport and helps to reduce the risk of heart disease such as stroke, cancers, diabetes, and even death. Buttressing some of these views, our former transport minister in Nigeria, late Chief Ojo Madekwe, in 2002 advocated greater use of the bicycle amidst criticism from some Nigerians that the roads were unsafe for cyclists. Reports, however, had it that the then transport minister abandoned the bicycle crusade after he was pushed into a ditch by a bus. Experts are, however, calling on the government of developing countries of the world, including Nigeria, to always fix bad portions of their roads, especially in the rural areas, to enable citizens derive the health benefits accruable from indulging in cycling activities. Member states of the United Nations are expected to devote attention to the bicycle in development strategies and to include the bicycle in international, regional, national, and subnational development policies and programs. Stakeholders are expected to advance the use of the bicycle as a means of fostering sustainable development, strengthening education, including physical education for children and young people. 2 years after the General Assembly of the United Nations declared June 3 as International World Bicycle Day, it is expected that by going forward, countries of the world, including Nigeria, ought to give more advocacy to the use of the bicycle, owing to its benefit to the overall health condition of the people, as well as its positive effect on the environment. For DRTV News, Ifeanyi Onyejike reporting.
The death of George Floyd, which angered and triggered a widespread protest across the U.S., has been declared a homicide. George Floyd, 46, allegedly killed by a police officer, was found to have suffered cardiac arrest while being restrained by the state police. Post-mortem examination revealed Mr. Floyd's case of death as cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual restraint and neck compression. This has so far led to 6 days of consecutive protest around the United States and a level of unrest among its citizens. Last week, a viral video circulated on the internet showed a white police officer continuing to kneel on Mr. George Floyd's neck even after he pleaded he could not breathe, which has angered citizens who complained about police killings of black Americans. The police officer, identified as Derek Chauvin, has been charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter and is to appear in court next week, while the 3 other officers have been fired. Football Federation FIFA has urged competition organizers to apply the use of common sense when considering giving sanctions to players over protest against the death of George Floyd. The Football Association in England, FA, has in a statement released promised to take a common sense approach to players involved in behaviors promoting the anti-discrimination message, but the German FA says it is considering giving sanctions to players after several demonstrations this weekend. According to reports, FIFA issued a statement that the Football Association understands the feelings of empathy and emotions expressed by footballers all around the world in the light of the tragic circumstances surrounding the death of George Floyd. Floyd's death so far has sparked protests all over the U.S., prompting President Donald Trump to make use of the army to restore order in the country. Clashes broke out between police and protesters as about 200 protesters defied a ban to rally over the death of a black man in police custody in 2016 in Paris. The protest started in the late afternoon outside the court in northern Paris before projectiles were thrown and the police used tear gas to disperse the crowd. The rally was galvanized by the demonstrations against racism and deadly police violence in the U.S. The demonstration is coming after the release of 2 different medical reports into the cause of Adama Traore's death 4 years ago. Report says the French police had prohibited the rally by citing a coronavirus ban on gatherings of more than 10 people. Still from the foreign scene, scientists are running a trial to see if a painkiller drug can help hospital patients who are sick with coronavirus. The team from London's Guy's and St. Thomas Hospitals and King's College believes the drug, which is an anti-inflammatory drug, could treat breathing difficulties. In the trial, a special formulation vein would be used rather than the regular tablets that people usually buy, as some people take the drug for conditions like arthritis. Early in the pandemic, there were some concerns that the drug might be bad for people to take should they have mild symptoms, but the NHS National Health Service has advised people to try paracetamol first for mild symptoms, as it has fewer side effects than ibuprofen and as it is safer. It is a safer choice for most people. And away from the foreign scene, activities preceding the burial of the late Olaraja of Obitubo in Warri North local government area per W.E. Princewell will commence on Thursday, June 4, 2020 with a service of songs at his residence in Koko by 4 p.m. On Friday, June 5, 2020, an open-air funeral service will be conducted by the Foursquare Gospel Church at Obitubo Field, to be followed by interment. Traditional rites will take place at the Olaraja's premises at Obitubo. The late Pa W.E. Princewell was aged 90 and is survived by a wife, Mrs. Deborah Princewell, many children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, including a former Deputy General Manager, News and Current Affairs, DBS Warri, Mrs. Evelyn Utunye, and Delta State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Community and Social Development, Mrs. Flora Lanta, amongst other relatives. And with that report, we conclude the DRTV news. But before we go, a look at the highlights. President Muhammadu Buhari, in solidarity with Nigeria, has asked for justice over the death of Vera Omozuwa, a 100-level student of Uniben who was raped and murdered by suspected culprits in Benin City. The president took to his Twitter handle Tuesday night to condemn rape and expressed sadness and displeasure over the gruesome murder of the girl. We also brought you the report that the 2019 audit report of the State Auditor General on the accounts of the Delta State government for the 2019 fiscal year is now before the State House of Assembly. Assembly correspondent Nkenwike reports that also before the House is the audit report of the Auditor General local government for the year ended 31st December 2017 and 18 for the 25 local government councils of the state. Thank you so much for being part of the news. Do stay on for the rest of our programs. I am Oris Esima Anireta.